Excellent. Okay, moving down to drivers and activities. Drivers and activities, guys, the risk management report. Actually, this is a report that does have quite a few cool changes to it. So I'll just let me open this one up. There we go. So, okay, so the options, again, this options button, guys, starting to see a trend here, I'm sure. This is where you can now choose your time frame. In the risk management report, guys, this is, this is where you can choose your any rules that you've created. You can add it into this particular report to, allow you to do some analysis on that. So I'll do that in a second. But what I want to point out here for this risk management report, and this is also available in a couple of our other reports, is the ability now to trend your data. So in 5.5, you took a time frame, whether it was a week, a day, a month, you took a snapshot of a time frame, and that's what I wanted to get my data on. What we've added into a few of our 5.6 reports here is the ability to trend the data. So now you can look at it over the course of, let's say, a month, and you can look at it week over week in that month, or for a year, month over month, to see how my mileage trended or how my guys' driving behaviors improved over the last month's time frame or year's time frame, that type of thing, or even if it's a week, day by day. So, for example, I'm going to pull this report by month. So I'm going to say, last month. Let's take the last full month. And I'm going to turn the sum periods on. I want to look at it for, last month, week over week. Okay? So I turn the sub periods on, and I want to choose the weekly, sub periods for all of last month. Now, what you would do here simply is choose your choose your exception rules that you want to apply. Common are the safety rules, the risk management reports, things like harsh braking. Things like harsh cornering. Idling is always a good one. It's such a great way to get your return on investment. Harsh accelerations and speeding. These guys don't speed, but I'll add it in anyway. So those are some rules. Again, guys, you can choose up to and including 6 rules in this particular report. You can choose by device where you have driver ID. You can, as you guys know, you can still choose by driver ID. And here you can also run the report by individual devices or drivers, or you can run it by particular groups, okay, which will sum it all up for you, maybe for a higher level of reviewing the data, okay. I'm going to keep it on the individual devices, and let's apply changes to take a peek at this particular report. Okay, guys, again, notice the clean, streamlined view of this particular report. Perfect. Again, as Stephanie mentioned earlier, for viewing on a phone or an iPad or a tablet of some sort. What you're looking at here as well is, if you'll notice the Show Details button here, what we're populating for you immediately is the interesting information, anything that counts in terms of how you've chosen to configure this report. Distance driven, of course. Idle time, of course. How many counts of idling over 5 minutes? How many after-hours trips? Of course, you have to have your work hours set in the solution properly. These guys, the work hours in this solution are 9 to 5. These guys always start their days at like 7 or 8. Maybe we should adjust that. So, and then you can see here in terms of the exception events. So the exception events that show up are going to, again, be the only ones that actually broke the rules. Okay, so you can see here that these guys broke idling rules. Ooh, this guy broke a speeding rule, too, once for 35 seconds. Huh, interesting. And he broke idling 81 times for 1 hour and 34 minutes. Wow, that's incredible. So, and then you can see here, here's the trending piece of the puzzle here. Week 1, so this is the first week of August. Remember, I chose it from last month, so the last full month was August. Yeah. So week 1, and now we have week 2's data. Week 2's data. Every vehicle is listed here for week 2. Okay, and then we scroll down, of course, you've got week 3 for the month of August. So this data is week over week here, and it's showing you what they're doing for those particular weeks of the month of August. Now, when I click on Show, what?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, when I click on Show Details, what it's going to show is, first of all the exception rules that you did choose in the particular report, and as you can see, the ones that didn't populate right up front have 0, 0s, 0s, 0s. Okay. The other thing that is still in this particular report, which is super handy for those folks that have deliveries and kind of on their guys are on a time frame out there. Like I do know Second Harvest should never have a stop that's more than 30 minutes. And interestingly enough, this particular one has 4 that are greater than 50, but it does still show you the stop counts by time. Total number of stops for this particular week, 23 were made less than 10 minutes, 20 were greater than 10 minutes, 5 were greater than 20 minutes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so this detailed data is still in here as well for you folks to work with when you've got, you know, kind of time limits on your stops. Steph, did you want to add something?
Yeah, can you go up to the reports and bounce that risk management report out to Excel?
You bet, you bet. Good segue. So guys, again, the custom reporting feature is still here. This reports button is going to drop down. The ability to flip the data you're looking at and look at it in terms of in a PDF. If I were to click on this particular bar right here, it flips it into PDF for you. Okay, if I click on this Excel icon, it flips it into Excel, and this is really the most useful tool here. I do just want to point out, guys, that these are reports that we've created and played with and stuff. They won't be in your databases, largely won't be necessary. The one that's important to you folks, of course, is anything that has the word default. Default means that it's taking this data we're looking at and flipping it into Excel. There we go. Did you want to add something here, Steph, or?
No, I mean, I just wanted them to see the period numbers on the report so that you can see the one vehicle's 5 periods together. I think it conveys the data really well. If you have driver scorecarding done in your risk management report, you can then do a trend line graph of whether the guy's trending, you know, is he getting safer, is he driving more aggressively? You can see that in a very visual way. Week over week, month over month. It's just very cool data.
I agree. I agree. And this risk management report in Excel here is probably the most popular report we use for our custom reporting. Angie does a lot of our Excel work here, and yeah, she's agreeing with me.
It has a lot of the information that most people want to report on. Yeah. Because it has the ability to put in those 6 exception rules, you can report on anything you really want to. Any rule that you've created, you can report on it, and you can report on it based on distance. You can report on it based on drive time, based on maybe number of stops, whatever. It's very, very flexible.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. Any questions?
We have a question about how are you determining harsh cornering and jackrabbit starts?
Okay, so what we'll do is if you can give us a sec and get to the rules, because there's actually a definition in the rules. The rules, maybe I should segue there right now because it is 1:45. I mean, let me segue.
I would go to the rules, yeah. the default rules that are built in, and the rest of the stuff we can do in detailed training, one-on-one or whatever.
You bet. You bet. You bet. You bet. Some of these other items we've kind of covered off anyway. For example, the speed graph we covered off. Drivers is driver ID. Anywhere you see the bounce out, guys, that bounce out is 5.5. So there's really not very much change there. So you should be very familiar with that as it is.